I've got it. Okay. Hello, welcome to another discussion about Game of Thrones, Season 6, Episode 4, Book of the Stranger. I'm Matt.
I'm Max.
And I'm Dan.
So, what do we think of this week's episode? I mean, I think it sort of just got shit moving, which is what we've spoken about.
Plot progression, yeah. It's exactly what's been lacking. I mean, not only with Snowball finally kicking off, things are finally, Sansa actually arrived at Castle Black.
Yeah, I mean, they wasted no time with that. That was right at the beginning of the episode, and it was,
Can I just point out that the episode did start with the joke that I made about the end of the last one, where we see Jon storming out into the snow, and I said, it wouldn't be funny if he came back in to get his stuff, so it was a bit nippy. He literally did that.
Yeah, sticking on that one scene for a second, I did think that the way they had the interaction with Sansa and Jon was very good, because these were the two siblings that weren't very, they good, and they addressed that, and they skipped over the "I've died" kind of thing.
You mentioned that they skipped over the "he died" thing. I was like, what the fuck? She's so okay with this. He went, after what's happened, she's like, yeah, fair enough, mate. Like, you fucking died!
Standard.
And you're back!
This is your sister. And she's just actually gone, that's a pain, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've missed a chance to get a really emotional moment in there, because it doesn't take a great director to get good reactions out of actors for a moment like that, where he reveals he's been killed. I thought they could miss a bit of a trick with that, actually.
Yeah.
But we do get some great character interactions. I mean, we get Brienne, Melisandre, and Davos all at once, and Brienne goes, "I killed Stannis." So any speculation about whether or not Stannis is alive, I think we've got to put it to rest. Moving on, the Vale. We finally see Baelish for the first time this season, 4 episodes in.
Yep.
And he does more in his sort of 5 minutes of screen time than a lot of other characters have done this series. He comes in, he does some little finger shit, telling half-truths and lies, and goes, let's mobilise the Knights of the Vale.
It's also a really nicely tense scene where you're waiting for, I don't know, the chubby
Robin,
bloke.
Aaron. Oh,
the
Royce.
chubby bloke, yeah, whatever. You get the tension when he's kind of awaiting his fate from just this young little psycho in Robin Aaron. He's like, whatever, give him another chance. But again, we always say, Baelish is just being the medieval Frank Underwood.
Yeah.
In this scene, he just plays it perfectly.
Yeah.
With Snowball coming up, with the Boltons having Winterfell at the minute, we can have predicted that the rest of the North, or lots of the other families in the North, wouldn't side with them. Especially with Littlefinger sort of pulling the strings. You've now got the Knights of the Vale, you've got the Wildlings. But it's going to be interesting to see who sides with Bolton in this kind of conflict, because
Ramsay said last episode that the Manderleys and the Ambers and this and that are going to be siding with them, so that I think the Bolton army is 5,000 strong.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that includes the other Great Northern houses.
And
but let's say they've each got 5,000 as well. The Wildlings have got
2,000.
But the Knights of the Vale are between 10 and 20,000.
Really?
So yeah.
Where have they been?
They're notably passive. That's like their thing. They don't get in fights. But the Knights of the Vale...
Probably why there are so many of them, though.
Then we're looking at a huge battle where the Boltons are actually outnumbered.
But anyway, kind of segueing on to more talking in this episode, Tyrion and Meereen. He's channeling the spirit of Tywin, isn't he?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, he's proving himself time and time again to be quite an able diplomat, which is... contrasting to Daenerys, because he's come in and said, all right, listen, slavery's bad and I grew up richer than any of you. Basically, I'm going to give you 7 years to stop slavery, which we know slavery's bad, we know 7 years is a long time, but he's met with resistance by from Missandei and from Grey Worm. They're like, no, slavery's bad, stop it now. And this is what Daenerys has done. She came in, went, stop it, and then left it. Whereas Tyrion said, take a while, let's progressively cut it out and replace it with something else. You will be handsomely rewarded.
It does speak volumes as to the lack of sort of diplomatic characters that she's had so far surrounding her. You can definitely see why Grey Worm would not be, or any of the ex-slaves would not want to be a part of anything sort of even close to continuing it.
True,
and she wouldn't have been the breaker of change, I guess, if it wasn't an instant kind of thing.
I guess the
unscrewer of change.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, one of the masters of Meereen or Astapor or Yunkai or whatever actually says, the Unsullied, you're still slaves. Misa is still a master, and he's right. I feel like Missandei and Grey Worm are just sort of awkwardly hanging about.
Yeah.
Like as you said, Grey Worm isn't excessively hard, and Missandei is just a bit of a wet sponge, really. So Tyrion comes in to sort of just breathe some life into these scenes, because there's so little going on there. But we're seeing something happening now.
I'm a little worried that Tyrion is ruffling too many feathers and he's going to get Julius Caesared, Jon Snow style.
There's a bit where Grey Worm says they're slavers. They use people. They will use you. And Tyrion's like, what if Grey Worm's right?
He's a smart man, but he's also arrogant at this point, it's fair to say. He thinks that he's got the solution, he's sorted everything out, and job's a good one.
Yeah.
And maybe the saving grace will just be military action with the now huge Dothraki army that
let's move on to that.
We will.
Yeah.
So again, finally plot progression, fantastic, because it has been a long time coming with Daenerys, like a long time.
Should I stay or should I go now?
Yeah. We'll talk about the actual scene in a second, but her finally having command of the Unsullied, the Dothraki, Second Sons. Yep. She now has the force behind her to take Westeros. She will sort out Slavers Bay first. She's had moments, and then just moments of she seems to kind of like just bumbling along for a lot of it. Just kind of this has happened, damn, and now I'm a slave again. Now I've the whole city hates me, and and it's kind of been really really ponderous up until this point, where now we actually might just get conquering over to Westeros.
But so Daenerys is over at the Temple of Doshkalin, and they're like, all right.
Nice pronunciation.
Doshkalin. The men are like, I'll fuck her.
Yeah.
And
it's they're like horrible lads as well, yeah.
And then Daenerys knocks over the thing, and everything's made of wood.
Harks back to the first scene when it was series 1 where
and she comes out of the fire.
It's made out of bloody paraffin, that place, it seems.
Right away. But I mean, the way that we're introduced to Daenerys' scene in this is through the handsome adventures of Dario and Jorah.
Yeah. I love that they find her when she's nipping out for a wee as well. I think that's so funny.
What I really liked is just a little character moment that I thought was that Dario first comes in and he goes, why do you hang with Daenerys? You'll never ride the dragon, lol. And Jorah doesn't really give him a straight answer, but Dario doesn't understand why Jorah is with Daenerys so devotedly. Dario just thinks it's love, and then when she comes out of the fire and everybody's like kneeling down, Dario for the first time sees her as like a god, basically. And I think that's nice. I think that's a good development for Dario, that now he understands why Jorah is so singularly following Daenerys.
It's nice to have him as a kind of devil-may-care character, but by the same token, we haven't seen any progression with him whatsoever. He's just like, oh, don't worry, I'll just do him in. That's his solution to anything. It's nice to see that kind of humbling, like messianic thing that we see from all these shows, where you finally goes like, oh my god, she's actually not just fit, she's more than that.
As opposed to if they find him with a stab wound, the whole city offers, okay then. Bang.
I did actually quite appreciate that though.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
I wondered if that was like foreshadowing though. Like I don't know what of, but Jorah looked kind of worried when he was killing him with a rock. And Jorah's seen things, man. He's seen some shit.
Yeah.
So.
They both looked. Yeah, maybe.
The other big battle we're building up to, so we've got Daenerys and her 40,000 Dothraki people. We got the Vale and their 10,000. We got the Boltons and their 5,000, and we've got the big fight coming presumably between Marjorie's family and the Sparrows.
Well, yeah.
Who would definitely lose? Like, it really doesn't even seem like a fair fight. They got rags and makeshift weapons.
I mean, the only card they've got to play is the fact that they've still got Solaris in chains.
Interestingly, though, what did you take from when Marjorie goes to visit Loras? What did you take from that?
I took that he was asking to die.
See, what I took from that was that the High Sparrow let Marjorie go see Loras, not to help him, but to break her.
Oh, to prove a point. Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you meant from the actual interaction.
No, right, at all.
So she catches on to that, and she knows that she can't be broken.
And it's been hinted, it's been outright said, in fact, that Marjorie will have to do a walk of penance. Diana Rigg, Olenna Tyrell, she says, nope, can't happen. Nope, not doing the walk of penance. We got to do something. And then Cersei and Jaime and Kevin and Olenna, I guess, forged their alliance. I don't know if someone's got a scheme going on there, wherein Cersei says, bring in the Tyrell army, the Lannisters will stand down, and then you can do your thing. Will that mean...
Why would the Lannisters stand down?
Because Tommen's told not to mobilise the army, but not the Tyrell. The Tyrells can come in and do whatever they want.
It'll be a kind of enemy of my enemy is my friend, kind of thing for a while. But will that...
Do we see that building up to a greater betrayal, maybe?
Yeah,
though?
because, if we know anything about Cersei, and in fact about both families, really, they don't like each other, and they're more than willing to double-cross. If that happens, maybe the High Sparrow stays in the game for a bit longer. Because if they're so if they continue to be as conceited as they have been, that's the whole reason they came to power in the first place. That's the whole reason the Sparrows have got to where they are. Personally, it feels like it's been very statically kind of stuck with that kind of thing for a while, and one of the houses needs to take the city back for future battles to happen there. But whether that happens, this early on in the season, or if it happens at the end of this season, building up to the next, maybe, I don't know.
And if the Tyrells come in, and if the Lannister army stands down, do you think that will result in a sort of quite a bloody coup, maybe? That the Tyrells' army have been told to just sack King's Landing? But I don't see them doing that.
And they just stay there?
But it's kind of like, it sort of mirrors, in a way, the old story of Pycelle telling the Mad King to let Tywin in, and then Tywin and his army sack the city. Yeah, so it's sort of like that.
Do you know what I'd like to see happen? This is me getting my writer hat on now. So, as you say, Lannisters stand down, in come the Tyrells to clear out the Sept. I don't know how they're going to do that without them just butchering Marjorie and Loras, but anywho. So they're all in there now, they're trapped, and then, boom, gates shut. Reigns of Castamere starts to play, and then she goes and, wipe them out, and then we get the all their army gets butchered, and she stands there like the Night King.
Actually, there was a bit when Cersei was proposing her plan that the Reigns of Castamere did play.
Yeah, shit's going down.
I mean, I think we can definitely expect an element of double crossing, especially from Cersei, because her and Jaime had that conversation last episode about fuck everyone else. We have had enough.
I just don't see that being successful, because it'd be kind of boring if the Lannisters got back into power
if it just
again.
kind of worked.
Maybe they'll try and it won't work.
But it's all about how, isn't it? That's the point. It can't be too easy. But we also have to speak about, where's Tommen in all this? Because we don't directly see his reaction. Has Cersei talked him round her way of thinking after he's been kind of beguiled by the Sparrow? Or has she gone, he's an idiot, we're doing it now?
What's the High Sparrow's end goal? That's what I want to know, basically. Because it can't just be to make everybody poor.
I mean, there's got to be one, because it is the Game of Thrones. He obviously doesn't want. Yeah, he obviously doesn't want power. I mean, as far as the throne goes.
No, not conventionally.
Maybe I should abolish the throne.
Yeah,
as an institution.
Well, he's basically like a commie, isn't he? That's what he is. He's a religious fanatic, but kind of a commie.
A couple more things, and then we'll wrap up. Ramsay. So Asha tries to seduce him, and then he kills her. Kind of, what was the point of bringing her back? Because it doesn't show Ramsay to be any more brutal than he. In fact,
it was a pointless scene. It was a completely pointless scene.
It's just
This is the thing.
Effortless.
Ramsay has become a supervillain, and he's part of the show's consistent problem of not even being shocking, or the shocks being quite empty. Because he kills her, and he just somehow magically knows everything. And it's not like he's clever like Tywin, or quite ruthlessly pragmatic like Roose. He's just somehow he knows, and this is the device by which the story keeps us on our feet, but not really, because we're smarter than that, or I like to think we are.
And it worked when he was, torturing Theon, because he had complete control over him. He knew where he was going to be. He knew how to manipulate the situation. The fact that he's now become this kind of, Machiavellian godlike figure is Doctor Doom-esque, and it's weird. It is at this point, there was no sort of gravitas to any of the stuff he's been doing this episode. The whole quick stab in the neck, continue eating the apple. There's no.
It's really it looks cliche. He's basically just like a.
He's going to be horrible every scene. He never has any more.
He's become like Caligula, basically. He's just a nutcase, and the on the nose flaying of the apple. Like, we get it. That's what he's planning to do to people. But moving on.
But he has Rickon in the basement. He sends a letter to Jon Snow.
How do they even know he's telling the truth? There's no.
Maybe that's the.
There's no point in the scene where they're like, "Oh, is he trying to tempt us in here?"
He sends a letter to Jon Snow, and then that seems to And I tell you what, when he sent this horrible letter, Sansa takes it and reads it. That's really quite it's sort of empowering, or just an independent moment.
But it's nice that Jon's still trying to protect her even from that, because he still sees her as this fragile lady, and she's not. She's
Well, maybe we'll finally
she's playing the Game of Thrones a little bit now.
Yeah, now she's really up for taking back Winterfell. Yeah, and this is the first time she's no longer bouncing from an abusive relationship to one to the next.
She's hopefully safe now.
Yeah.
But Jon's going to mobilise, I guess, and we're going to get this big battle, which is basically where the show's going. One last thing. Next episode in the preview, we get that bit from the trailer where Bran has that version where he stood up and then he turns around, the Night's King's right behind him. So we're seeing the White Walkers next episode.
Cool.
And it looks like Bran's got stuck in the vision as well, so I don't really know what that means. Is it like, if you die in Canada, do you die in real life? That kind of thing? Or, we got Sansa literally asking Littlefinger, so I don't know how he's gotten up there.
Well, he's ridden the Knights of the Vale there. As in, he hasn't ridden them, like, astride them, but he's in his box, presumably.
But Sansa asks him, did you know about Ramsay? And he's like,
It's like, no.
I mean, he didn't know.
He didn't know.
Which is an oversight on his part. So next episode is looking pretty exciting. This was a good episode. Shit got done, got moved along.
Yep.
Pretty happy with it, provided that the show continues on this trajectory. Any other final comments?
I think that the main point is we're starting to see how the end game's beginning to shape up now. There's less, as you said, it's not as ponderous as it once was. We now find the cogs are slowly moving and we're starting to get into it.
Yeah.
But one more thing we need to see soon is the rest of the Tower of Joy scene.
Yeah.
Like, as you said in the review, we're getting blue-balled enough now.
Yeah. I thought we were going to get it this episode.
We really should have done.
Really did.
Or soon enough.
It looks like we're not getting it next episode either. So
who knows how long that scene will be? Maybe that's one of the reasons he gets stuck in that, because he is just immersed in that kind of past vision.
yeah, but we thought it was a good episode.
we
We
enjoyed it.
loved how Tormund looked at Brienne, and but this episode really got on with that. But that's been Game of Thrones season 6, episode 4, whatever. Book of the Stranger. I've been Matt.
I've been Max.
I've been Dan.
Okay, and we'll see you next week. Okay.